Market Monday, July 14th. Thanks for joining me. Before we get started this week, I'm going to ask that you stop, take a second, like this video, hit the little bell notification so that you're subscribed for next week when the next Market Monday comes out. Let's just jump right into inventory. New listings this week. 1,660 listings have come on the market so far this year. That is 59 new listings in the last week. That's a lot of new listings for an individual week. Lots and lots of new listings coming on the market right now, which is bucking what we're hearing the national trend is. More on that as we get a little further into the video. Last year at this point, we were at 1,622, so we're 2.3% higher than where we were at this point last year. Not a huge amount, just a little bit. But back in 2020, at this point, we were 2,029 listings. We're 18% behind where we were just 5 years ago in terms of those new listings coming onto the market. That affects the current available inventory, right? So from an inventory standpoint, we're sitting at 1,133 properties available on Hilton Head Island. That's down, or that's up 25 properties from last week. Last year at this time, we had 913. So we're 24% higher than where we were at this point last year. And again, looking back at 2020, we were 1,713, 34% lower right now than where we were 5 years ago. That is the supply side, the inventory side of the supply-demand equation. Now let's look at demand. Pending sales, we're at 187. That's down 2 from last week, where we were at 189. At this point last year, we were at 168, so we're 11% higher than we were where we were a year ago. But compare this back to the craziness that was as we were coming out of the pandemic. We were sitting at 397 sales, so about half of where we were just 5 years ago. Year-to-date closed sales, these are sales that have gone under contract and have closed. With 28 closed sales this week. That's a little bit lower than normal. 1,062 so far this year. Last year through this date, we're at 1,209, so we're 12% lower than where we were last year. And back to 2020, at this point, we're at 1,493. We're 29% behind where we were back then. Absorption rate, this is, if no other properties came on the market, how long would it take to absorb our current inventory? This helps us determine whether it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, or a neutral market. And we are squarely in a neutral market right now with 6.1 months worth of inventory. Last week we were at 5.8, so we've ticked up a little bit. Last year at this point we're at 5.4 months. And at this point in the pandemic, July 14th in 2020, we had 4.3 months worth of inventory. So it's still a good market, but it's not as strong as it was just 5 years ago. Days on the market, the average amount of time it takes for a property to receive an offer and go under contract once it comes on the market, we're at 72 days. That's a 16-day decrease in the last week, since last week. At this point last year, we were at 63 days, so we're 14% more than where we were at this point last year. And back in 2020, it was taking 180 days at this point, back in 2020. Wow, things have changed in the last 5 years. Property values, how does it all affect property values? The median sale price of properties this week has jumped significantly up to 806. At this point last year, we're at 699,000. That's a 15.3% year-over-year increase. And if we look at where we were at 2020, July 14th, 2020, the median sale price on Hilton Head Island was $394,643. So we've more than doubled our prices in the last 5 years. Our average annual rate of appreciation for the last 5 years has averaged 15.4%. I hope you have been in the market. So activity, new lead activity is slow this week. The leads that we've had coming in through our website this week has slowed a little bit. We've had lots of new listings come on the market here locally this last week, and sales activity has slowed down a little bit. Those numbers, inventory is up 24% year over year, sales are down 12% year over year, and prices are up 15% year over year. Right now, if you're a buyer, you're taking advantage of all the good deals that are out there. If you are a buyer, you're also dealing with higher than normal interest rates. Nationally, the reports are it's taking longer to sell. As an example, in Nashville, days on the market is up 20 days from this point last year. Orlando, Miami down in Florida, they're up 15 days. We're seeing something similar. Right now, we're up about 9 days. Nationally, the report is prices are flat nationally, but as you know, our prices are up 15%, so we're bucking those national trends. And also nationally, sellers right now are tending to pull their houses off the market rather than reducing prices. But we know that Hilton Head Island, in this last week, we had 59 new properties come on the market. So again, we're bucking those national trends, and that's why it's important that you get your news, your real estate news, from a local source, because what's happening nationally isn't necessarily what's happening here locally. Thanks for joining me this week, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.